Good. All right. We're starting a new subject, but I'll start discussing on and off some stocks that I'm currently studying. None of the stocks, I generally do discuss them with level 2 and level 3 sessions. Now I'll start discussing with you as well. None of these are recommendations. And general disclaimer about me, at times you would find me in love with some stock. So मैं class में आऊँ and I tend to do that a lot. I live in those phases where एक महीना चला जाता है, इश्क चलता रहता है. And then suddenly one fine day I get up and I realize it's not working for me anymore. And then you'd never hear about that stock from me. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, it has happened in the past where I'll speak so highly about some company and then some of the folks will go and buy. और फिर 6 महीने बाद आके मेरे को पूछेंगे कि अभी मैं क्या करूं, और मैं उनको बोलता हूँ 5 महीने पहले ही बेच दिया हूँ. So don't buy, but just for studying, right? It's fun. This is what I love doing, so I'll share some of those with you. Not holding Tejas anymore. I mean, not holding in the same proportion. Sold Tejas, testy bites also. But these days, I'm struggling to find good stocks. Okay, and it's not now, it's been last 6 months. So, in fact, I've been continuously selling stocks in my portfolio which I feel were overvalued or not, they were not worth the valuation. I bought a little bit of gold for the first time in last 13 years. I'm sitting on cash. Generally, I've always tried not to do that. But I'm constantly hunting, searching for opportunities. So I'll show you. I came across one very interesting company called Radio Wala. Has anyone heard of it? Now, prima facie, when I say radio, क्या दिमाग में आता है? हाँ? हाँ, वो पुराने डब्बे है ना. How many of you listen to radio? How many of you listen to radio these days? Mostly कोई नहीं सुनता आजकल, है ना. मतलब it's mostly it's become a thing of the past. So on the face of it, anything to do with radio looks like it's a dying industry, right? That is my first impression of this stock when I started studying it. It's a really, really small company. Market cap is just 50 crores. है ना. मतलब रिलायंस हर मिनट में शायद या हर 5 मिनट में 50 करोड़ कमाता है. So it's a really small company, and small company means in India we call them SMEs. SMEs is small and medium enterprises. This is where maximum froth is and maximum fraudsters are. There are a lot of fraudsters, right, in stock market. In the last few years, किसी के भी IPO निकल रहे हैं. अभी कोई मध्य प्रदेश में साड़ी की दुकान है, उसने IPO निकाला है. There was a Yamaha, I don't know if you heard, Yamaha showroom distributor, right? That guy did IPO, that was circulating in the news. So with these stocks, you want to be all the more careful. So it's a risky story. 50 crore की company है. I'll tell you what I liked about the company. If I just show you the clients of the company. Now look at these and tell me if you've seen any of these brands before. You have many of those, right? Okay, but it doesn't end there. How about any of these brands? Do you know any of these? Okay. Amazon Pay pata hai, Jio Hotstar, Cadbury, Quality Walls. How about these? Know these? How about these? And how about these? It's crazy, right? Either pura hi fraud hai. How about these, right? I think some of them are familiar. And how about these then? Right, and it just goes on. Look at this. And whatever I told you, these guys claim that they have 80% market share in Indian retail. जो भी धंधा करते हैं उसमें 80% market share, which is crazy. जो ITC सिगरेट बनाता है, इतने साल मेहनत करने के और उसका 80% 90% market share बना है, right? These guys say that they have done it in a few years. But once I tell you what they do, maybe you would believe. But first look at their numbers. Okay, now for so many clients and so many brands, what do you think their sales are? So look at this. 20 crore रुपए, है ना? So you would say इतना तो कोई भी कर लेता है आजकल, है ना? If you have a like a famous restaurant, पूना में जैसे कोई वैशाली विशाली रेस्टोरेंट्स है एफसी रोड पे, वो भी साल का 20-25 करोड़ का धंधा करता है. So technically 20 crores is nothing, right? It's a joke, but again, it's a very small company, 50 crore market cap. I tell you what these guys do. आप अगर कभी Starbucks में गए, or if you ever went to Zudio, have you heard there's some background music running in the stores? Now, when you hear that background music running, at times they'll play Bollywood music, at times some instrumental music, but a lot of this music will have copyright claims. म्यूजिक लेबल के, है ना, कि मैंने गाना बनाया, आई सोल्ड माई सॉन्ग टू सारेगामा, नाउ सडनली Zudio is playing it. So in the past, what used to happen is that Zudio and all these guys, they used to get notices from one society in India called IPPR. It's a society for copyright protection rights. What these guys built is they basically built some sort of a corporate plug and play model. You go to Radio Wala, you take their subscription, and then they will give you a control playlist. Because imagine you go to some nice fancy store, let's say you go to Starbucks, और आपने एम्प्लॉयज को सिलेक्ट बोल दिया कि आपको जो गाना लगाओ, और उसने भोजपुरी लगा दिया, है ना. So brands don't want that to happen. They want a controlled music environment. So that's where these folks come in. You must have also heard at some stores बीच में announcement करते हैं कि दुकान आधे घंटे में बंद होगा, or maybe at times they'll do announcement 30% discount, or stuff like that. These guys manage that piece also. So it's a completely new category in India. These guys have built it. So far it's promising. That is their one part of the business. Second part, ये लोग क्या करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, where I mean, I obviously haven't done my homework on them yet. What these guys are also trying to do, okay, I think I lost that link. What these guys are also trying to do is they're getting into this type of thing. Have you seen these type of panels in the retail stores these days? Right, where you have a digital display, and then at times what you want is the audio playing on the speaker to be in sync with the digital display, right? Then it creates a more unified experience. So these guys are also trying to get into this digital display business. Okay, now, and the third element, and very interesting, imagine you're running a large manufacturing plant, let's say Tata Steel. आपके प्लांट में 20,000 लोग काम करते हैं, right? All factory workers. Now, many times these factory workers will not know a lot of details of the company, कि company कैसे काम करती है, क्या करती है. So these guys have built a concept called corporate radios. Okay, corporate radio channel. This corporate radio will be playing in the corporate premises all the time. What that will do is it will provide vernacular language music for the employees to create a pleasant experience. और फिर बीच में कंपनी के CEO का इंटरव्यू, all the new updates which are happening in the company. So it's a very efficient way to keep employees engaged with what's happening in the company. Right? So it's a very early stage business, but very interesting. Most probably the company will be dead in 10 years. Now, most probably ये जो 50 crore है ये zero होगा. But in case if they work, then it will be a very fast journey from 50 crore market cap to 500 crore market cap. So the way I think about stocks is there's a concept called risk reward, right? And I think no matter what style of investing you decide to do, I think this is one thinking that you should incorporate as an investor. Risk and reward. Risk basically means if I invest 100 rupees, if things go wrong, how much will I lose? And reward means that if things go right, how much will I gain? Correct? So in this style of investing, maybe in 5 years, 100 rupees will become zero, or maybe in 5 years, 100 rupees will become, let's say, 500. So आपका downside is 100%, upside is maybe 200, 300, 500%. Is the risk reward ratio looking attractive? Yes, right? Because your rewards are better than the risk. Then in situ, and again, this is my guess. ठीक है, 500 का शायद कुछ भी हो सकता है. So this is how you think with some of these stocks. Just a side note, if you want, you can write this down. And anyways, this will be a part of subject we are studying today. So ये इसके बारे में मैं वापस भी आऊँगा. Not in your syllabus, but very strongly related to subject that we are studying. We're studying alternative investments, by the way. And within alternative investment, there is one type of investor which is called venture capital. Have you heard of venture capital? Shark Tank type of investors. Now, venture capitalists actually work on the concept of power law. So it's slightly mathematical style of investing. Power law क्या कहता है? If you invest into, let's say, and I'm going to simplify this, if you invest into, let's say, 100 companies, okay, and you invest into very, very high risk companies, पूरे 100 के 100 आपने इस टाइप के छोटे स्टॉक्स ले लिए, where there's a very high risk, and let's assume that 90% of them went bankrupt, okay, and maybe 5 of them became 10x. 10x means 10 baggers, right? And let's assume that maybe 4 of them became, I don't know, 15x, just being conservative. And let's assume 1 of them became 100x. Okay? So now let's do the math. Let's assume you invested 1 rupee each. So you invested 100 rupees. These 90 went bankrupt. So 90 into 0, kitna ho gaya? 0. Then these became 10x, मतलब एक 10 रुपए का stock. So 5 into 10x becomes how much? 50x. Then 4 into 15x, 60x. And 100x 1 is 100, right? So total portfolio value is how much? 210. So 100 rupees became 210. That means your money doubled. And let's assume if you can achieve this over a period of a good 5 to 7 years, let's assume 5 years, then you compounded your portfolio at 14%. If this happened over 3 years, then you compounded your portfolio at roughly about 26-27%. मतलब हर साल आपको जो रिटर्न मिल रही है वो इस तरीके से मिल रही है. This concept is referred to as power law. Simple language में आप अगर if you're running a startup, okay, and if you ever go to a venture capitalist कि please fund me, and let's say you tell them कि मेरा बहुत ही safe business है, बहुत बढ़िया business है, बहुत अच्छा profit होगा, most probably venture capitalists will not invest in you. They are not looking for safe businesses. They are not looking for profitable businesses. Every stock that they buy, their target is to achieve this 100x. So it's okay if you don't make profit. It's okay if your business is not safe. What's important is that your business has a lot of potential to grow. That is why a venture capitalist will always invest in disruptive and innovative tech. You'll never find a venture capital doing business in, let's say, milk industry. कि दूध निकाल के बेचना है, प्रॉफिटेबल बिजनेस बट नॉट स्केलेबल. क्यों? उतनी गाय चाहिए, है ना? सो डिफिकल्ट टू कंपाउंड. बट यूड फाइंड वेंचर कैपिटल डूइंग बिजनेस इन बायोटेक, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, एनीथिंग रिलेटेड टू टेक, फिनटेक. जहां पे भी डिसरप्टिव टेक होगा वहां पे वेंचर कैपिटल आता है. एंड दैट इज बिकॉज दे अप्लाई देयर इन्वेस्टिंग ऑन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ पावर लॉ. Okay, now with this, we'll start the subject. What we are studying today, it's called alternative investment. Okay, first 10 minutes, I'll give you an introduction of what this subject is about. Then we'll get into nitty-gritties. Who is this? Areva, very nice. This is an investor. सोचो investor के पास 100 रुपए है. Investor has 100 rupees. You're an advisor to the investor. Your job is how to invest 100. Okay? So there are 2 decisions you need to take. One, whether I should do bonds or stocks or others. Second, whether I should buy HDFC Bank or whether I should buy Reliance stock or I should buy Airtel stock. Which decision do you think I should take first, A or B? Should you take A first? कि कितना FD में डाल दूं? How much in FD? How much in equities? How much in currencies? Maybe how much in gold is this? Or should I decide which stocks to buy first? Correct. So when you want to invest this 100 rupees for your client, you need to take 2 decisions for them. The first decision is called asset allocation. Asset allocation means out of 100, what percentage of money I want to allocate between primarily 2 asset classes. Something called as a traditional asset class and something called as an alternative asset class or alternative investment. Within traditional, we typically have two asset classes. Which two? Stocks. Stock means equities. And when you think of equity, equity is nothing but buying ownership in a company. And so you buy shares of some company, you're an owner of that company. Or bonds. Bonds means fixed income. And then what percentage of money in alternative? Now within alternative, we have multiple subcategories. Help me out, whatever categories you know. These days the most famous one, what is that? Precious metal. Okay, and we'll discuss about that because it's interesting to talk about precious metal now. What else? Anji? Real estate, that's correct. Real estate, very important part of it. What else? Cryptocurrency, sure. Why not? Cryptocurrency. What else? Anji? That's right. Private equity or venture capital, what we just studied. Okay, and I'll show you all of these in detail. Sorry, what else? Hedge funds, that's correct. Okay, and we'll discuss what hedge funds are. Think of hedge funds as mutual fund for super rich people. What else? Luxury goods, okay, sure. Luxury goods will include all the random bags or sub. Then, okay, wine mean इसमें डाल देते wine, coffee, collectibles. Recently there was a fraud in India. There's one CFA charter holder. We have a WhatsApp group of charter holders from Pune, Mumbai. So there was one charter holder who does business only in the painting area. I think his firm is called Persistence or something. I don't. But he posted something on the group. Some investor from Mumbai was recently scammed, almost movie-like. He was sold fake paintings worth 23-24 crores. Okay, three very famous painter. उसमें से एक के नाम मेरे को पता था, M.F. Hussain था, which all of us know. And how he was scammed is he was told story that these paintings were owned by some Maharaja of Bhopal or someone, and apparently he created some fake Maharaja of Bhopal stamps and whatnot and executed. But nevertheless, people do invest even in India in paintings and luxury goods. One more asset, infrastructure. Infrastructure means roads, highways, airports. Are these investable assets? Yes. Do you know who is now the airport king of India? Adani, right? Everyone knows. Good. And is it a fantastic, fast growing asset? No. You don't invest in infrastructure to make a lot of money. You invest in infrastructure to preserve the wealth. Once your net worth in India is, let's say, more than 1,000 crore plus, right? All the engagement that I have with some of the clients, they don't talk about multi-bagger stock lake do, right? This conversation is always about how do I protect the value of money for the generations to come. So those are called alternative investments. This is called traditional. How to allocate money between them is referred to as asset allocation. Now, once asset allocation is done, for example, 100 rupees of client, let's assume we will invest 70 rupees in stocks. Let's assume we will invest 20 rupees in bonds. Let's say we will invest 10 rupees in alternative investment. Okay, just a rough approximation. Then step number 2 is called security selection. What is security selection? So if I'm going to buy stocks, should I buy Airtel type of stocks like large companies, or should I buy a medium size, let's say, Laurus Labs, a pharma company, or should I just go crazy and buy Radio Wala, right? Should I buy these type of stocks? That is called security selection. So look at this flowchart very carefully and tell me if you are advising a bunch of portfolios for your clients, what do you think makes more difference? Which mutual fund you select, which private equity fund you select, which stocks you buy, or how do you allocate money between different assets? What do you think is more important for the client in the long run? Is it security selection or is it asset allocation? How many of you think? So if you're telling me that if it's asset allocation, you're telling me Zomato kharido ya Vodafone Idea kharido, It makes no difference. Hmm? That's what you're telling me. Then you go and buy maybe S Bank or your SpiceJet or Kingfisher Airlines, even better, right? Or you think that okay, security selection is not so important. Maybe I can afford to go wrong, but asset allocation is more important. Those of you feel asset allocation is important, give me a hand raise. Okay. Those of you feel asset allocation तो ठीक है, multi bag stock मिलना चाहिए. So those of you feel security selection, stock selection is more important, give me a hand raise. Okay. Now you'd be surprised. There have been plenty of studies done on trying to find what matters more to the investor in the long run. Most of the studies, including one very famous study by CFA Institute, it says more than 85 to 90% of the return of the client are explained by asset allocation. Right? Majority of the returns of the client are actually determined not by finding that next multi-bagger stock. Majority of the client returns in the long run are determined by asset allocation. Right? That's what we're spending time on today, a little bit, and then I want to take you there. Asset allocation very broadly means if client has 100 rupees of investable wealth, first question, how much of that wealth do you want to park in traditionals versus how much of the wealth do you want to park in alternatives? Within traditional, how much money do you want to go into equities? How much money will go into fixed income? And then rest, whatever money you want to put in alternative investments. All right, samajh mein? Let's come back to alternative now. Of course, we'll be having a separate course on equity, right? Separate subject on fixed income. Today we're studying this. So alternatives now. How many of you do you think you or your family have some exposure to alternative investments? Give me hand raise. Give me hand raise. Look at the chart carefully. How many of you think? How many of you think your family has? It includes gold. It includes silver. It includes real estate. Please give me a hand raise. Okay. Now, I won't be surprised if that's not 100%. I would be surprised if that's not 100% of this class. Right? Indians buy gold. And then after gold, if we have saved enough, then we buy real estate, right? That's typically the investing pattern for most of it. Believe it or not, that's this investing structure. You might feel that everyone in the world does it, but it's very unique to Indians and Chinese, right? It's two countries where the retail population tends to accumulate a lot of gold, and for us, it's culturally ingrained. What traditional finance says is generally a big chunk of money you want to invest into stocks and bonds. 10%, 20%, 30% you invest in alternative. Right? That's how financial planning is typically done. What most of the Indians do, when they start saving money, they will start saving that money into gold. You know? And then once they have accumulated enough gold or maybe a little bit of cash, of course they'll do some FDs, and after that they will go and buy what? Real estate, house. Both real estate as well as gold is a part of alternative. So our portfolios are completely kind of will look different than how portfolios are supposed to be designed. 80, 90, 100% of your wealth will be in alternatives. Very limited wealth will be in traditionals. Okay. So what we'll do now is we'll have look at each of these investments, each of the alternative investment. I'll give you an overview of how to think about them. You tell me which one do you want to start with? क्या वाइन से शुरू करना बेटा देखो okay let's start with gold first पढ़ना है gold ठीक is anyone sitting in the classroom does have like physical money with you? I would like to see if you have any physical. I'll give you back. So don't worry. Does anyone have physical money? Sorry, can you raise your hand? Is I don't know if this is visible on the camera. Let me just show it. परत परत देणार रे बाबा, घाबरू नकोस ना. सॉरी, क्या बताओ. Okay. This is not money. Anyone else has money here? Anyone else has money here? हाँ जी. कहाँ पे? Where's your money? Uh, this is not money. It's not money. Anyone else? हाँ जी. क्या है? Uh, no, not money. This is also not money. वापस देना भाई. हाँ, किसी के पास है? Does anyone have money? बताओ. Okay, thank you. This can be money. हाँ, एक मिनट बताओ. इसको फाड़ के फेंक दो, पेपर है. I'll tell you what. It's like It's borderline controversial of where we're going, but I'll explain to you, and it's a good time to study about this. What we do is we actually confuse two concepts. The concept of money versus concept of currency. My question to you is, how many of you have money? Okay. A very essential characteristic for something to be called money. If you go to classic literature and economics and read on what properties a money should have, I mean, one, it should be fungible. Fungible means what? It's exchangeable. Exchangeable as in I can exchange it for certain goods, right? But second, a very important characteristic a money should have is it should be a store of value. Now, when I asked you for money, all of you were showing me currency. Just take out that currency, those of you who have it, and read. There must be a promise written on that note, right? Read what the promise says. अगर है आपके पास नोट तो निकालो. ₹1 का अलग आता है. हाँ, ये पढ़ो, क्या लिखा है, आप पढ़ो.
I promise to pay the bearer the sum of 200 rupees.
Signed by
Governor of India.
नाम है? Sign हो. आपको समझेगा नहीं. So it says, I promise to pay the bearer. Bearer means जो हाथ में रखा है ना? So what you have today is called fiat currency. Fiat currency means जितना चाहिए उतना छाप सकता है. There is literally no limit on how much money can be printed today. Okay. Now, because of that, a very fundamental question you should ask yourself, that this whole concept of inflation, right? How does it affect my store of value? So let me show you some pictures, you'll understand. Plenty of research done on this. Okay. This looks like some old, Baba control kar thoda. This looks like some old, I'm not able to load it, just give me a minute. So maybe a hamburger back in the day was available for a price of 28 cents, right? What's the price of hamburger? Can someone quickly Google? I think in some of the countries it's about $2 to $3, right? So something that was worth a few cents back in the day is now worth $2 to $3. So now just think about this concept. Imagine someone worked very hard, in their life and saved, let's assume $3. That this money I want to pass on to my generation so that they can go and have 3 McDonald's hamburgers. $3. और वो गद्दे के नीचे रख दिए. And let's assume the son forgot about it, and then the son grew old, and then in today's time, son went and withdrew that money or took that money from the bed. Now there are $3. How many hamburgers can you buy with it now? Just one. So then the question comes, if that's the case, are we serving the property of store of value? Because it's not storing the value anymore. Are you getting it? So for something to be considered as store of value, I was reading very interesting statistics on it. It was, I think, about some European country, but I forgot which one, or European region. Some historian was doing this analysis that back in the day in Europe, the army generals were paid salary in gold. Okay, so back in the day, the currency never used to be money like what we have, or currency never used to be fiat currency. Gold hota tha. Now today, army generals are not paid in gold; they're paid in currencies, right? Fiat currency. Now, if you go and count how many ounces of gold were paid 1,000 years ago, okay, and apply inflation on it, and then figure out what's the salary paid today, you'd notice that that salary paid 1,000 years ago was exactly same as the salary paid today. What it basically means is that gold has been able to hold its value over a period of time, and it comes from variety of different reasons. Until 1970s, I don't know how many of you know this, if you had a US dollar note, you could, in theory, you could go to US government or US bank, give them the note, और उसके बदले में you can convert gold. That was called gold reserve system. Now, therefore, notes had a lot of value. Why? Because every note was backed by gold. So obviously, government could print only to the extent of gold that they had. Then in 1970s, President Nixon decided that we will temporarily abolish this system. It wasn't abolished permanently. Temporary, we will not do it. Q? Because in 70s, a lot of European countries, जिनके पास US dollar आ गए थे, especially France, they were skeptical about US economy. So what they started doing is पूरा ship भर के US dollar फ्रांस भेज रहे थे, and in return they were asking for gold, और पूरा शिप भर के गोल्ड लेके जा रहे थे, right? This happened a few times, and then obviously the US government thought that we'll run out of gold at this speed, so they decided that we will stop that system for the timing. Since then, we're living in one massive experiment where government has complete liberty to print, and that is the reason why the economies go through these cycles of burst, right? So you have period where you have economies doing good, and then you have period where economies are doing very bad. So what historically I've always recommended in all the portfolios that I've consulted is that you keep a reasonable 5% allocation to gold. Okay, so if you ever listen to my old videos, and there are plenty of them, I've always recommended investors कि आप 5% gold में रखो. Why? Gold is basically one of those assets that will do good when the world is ending. है ना? So आपका पूरा दुनिया पे भरोसा हट गया है. You don't trust government of India, you don't trust government of US, you don't trust anyone. These are the situation when gold will do good. Now, if you look at statistics till early 2000s, a lot of hedge funds, right? And these are big investors. Hedge funds would typically invest about 2 to 3% of their total money in gold. Then in the last 25 years, equities have done fantastic. Sub stock market bhag raha hai, so hedge fund allocation now has come down to 1%. So as of now, hedge funds have the lowest historical allocation. But now most of the hedge funds are saying that we might increase our allocation to gold. Some of those folks are talking about allocating up to 5%. And therefore, right now we are truly in some sort of a gold rush where we might see prices of gold might keep on going up for some time. And the challenge with gold is there is no way to value gold. जैसे आज gold का क्या price है? 1,20,000 or $3,900, right? Now, is that overpriced or underpriced? Overpriced, right? On what basis you telling me overpriced? Because बहुत ऊपर गया है? So it's like this, right? Let's assume something is worth 1,000 rupees, for example, okay? And in the market, it's available at a price of 10 rupee. Everyone starts going and buying it. Is it underpriced or overpriced right now? underpriced. Now 10 rupees became 20 rupees, doubled. Is it still underpriced? So then on what basis you told me that gold has become overpriced now, right? Because in order to say something is overpriced or underpriced, you need to compare price with how much is worth. Worth means value. And the problem with gold is there is no way to value gold, right? So it's very difficult to say whether it's underpriced or it's overpriced. But what most of the investors do, they don't think in terms of valuation. They think in terms of allocation. जैसे अगर मैं किसी client के साथ बैठा हूँ, and let's assume that client says that, hey Utkarsh, I'd like to allocate 100 crores of total money. Let's assume 5 crores will buy gold. So we will not think how many kgs or how many grams I'll be able to buy in 5 crores. The thinking will be I need to allocate 5 crores to gold, whatever is the price, right? जिसको equity markets में कहते हैं a BAP style of investing. BAP means buy at any price. And this is what is happening. Russia has been buying gold, China has been buying gold, Indian investors started buying gold, and now slowly, it looks like the Western retail investors are also joining the party, right? So they might also be buying gold. So that's roughly about gold. I mean, we can do this the whole day, but we'll give you some idea. Now, gold has a cousin, which is silver, right? Now, silver is very interesting. If I have, I'll show you a quick report. मैंने दिखाया था आपको ये रिपोर्ट क्लास में, Novama report on silver. Okay, it was not, no, it was Nomura. So silver is kind of crazy. And believe it or not, right now the silver price in global markets is about roughly about 49, I think a little less than that, $48 or something like that. Now, this is silver chart from 1970 to today. If you notice, silver actually went close to 45 odd dollars in 1980s itself. So silver ka price $45. That time the gold was somewhere around $180. Then silver price went through years of slack, and then it crossed that 45, 50 type of dollar range again in this 2011-2012 cycle. उस टाइम पे गोल्ड शायद कुछ 1600-1800 डॉलर हो चुका था. Silver again reached its previous peak. Then it again went down for multiple years, and now it has again reached that level of 45, $50. Now gold is how much? $37, $3,800, right? So technically for last 50 years, silver has not made money, right? That's one way to look at. So one way to look at is that if someone bought silver in 1980s और वो खरीद के बैठे रहे अगले 50 साल तक till today, the amount of return that they've made is zero. That's one way to look at this. The second way to look at this is that maybe silver is significantly underpriced, because imagine $50 in 1970. If I just apply inflation on that, आज $200 हो गया, $250, right? So that another way to look at this, maybe silver might have a long runway to go ahead of this. The way you're going to think of silver when you interact with clients, silver is more of a speculative asset rather than a pure precious metal. Silver का करीबन 50 to 60% use is in industrial, and roughly 30 to 40% use is in jewelry and store of value. Again, who are the biggest retail buyers of silver? India. And आपने देखा चांदी के बर्तन वगैरह इंडिया में होता है. So that's our use case. So again, silver is probably not a long-term investable allocation bet, but it could be a short-term speculative bet for some investors. Any questions I can answer for you on gold and silver now? Silver गिरेगा क्या? I have no idea. Gold बढ़ेगा क्या? I have no idea. I'll just tell you what I'm thinking. There's how we investor as investor we think, no? We say that gold ऊपर चला गया, so अभी महंगा हो गया. Oh, I missed it. है ना? That's the feeling we have कि हाँ मेरा miss हो गया. And then we sit on the sideline and then see other people get rich. Okay. Now, you know who else did that? Let me show you. Guess क्या किसने? I'm showing you South Sea bubble. Does anyone know? Okay. Isaac Newton. One of the smartest man probably to live on this planet. I don't know, where is that image? So there was a company back in the day called South Sea, and it was crazy. And I think this chart doesn't have what Isaac Newton did, but I'll tell you. He bought in the stock somewhere here, okay, at a very low range, let's say about 200 euros, नीचे के level पे. And then it went up to 400 level, he sold. तो उन्होंने अच्छा पैसा बनाया, he made 2x. And then he sat on the sideline and he saw all his friends get rich because that 200 stock became eventually 900. So then he experienced what all of us experience, which is FOMO, है ना कि सब कमा रहा है मैं नहीं कमा रहा. So then he sold everything that he had and he bought in the stock here to see the decline. Right? He went bankrupt. And he also said something like, I can understand the motion of heavenly bodies, but I cannot understand the madness of the people. But generally, again, coming back to the point, when something has gone up by 30-40%, a typical retail behavior is we think कि अभी महंगा हो गया है, and I missed the butt. But you never want to think like that. You always want to think in the context of price versus value. I just showed you earlier how much it is worth versus what is the price. Unfortunately for gold, I told you there's no way to figure out how much it is worth. So the only way to work with that is to look at something called as a demand and supply statistics. Okay, so I don't have time for that today, but I'll strongly encourage you to study. Who are the suppliers of gold? Miners, you know, and you and me. हम लोग कभी जाते हैं ना ज्वेलर के पास पुराना कुछ लेके कि इसी का नया डिजाइन बनवा दो या कन्वर्ट करो. So that's recycled gold, right? So there are two types of supply. And who are the investors of, or who has demand for gold? The biggest buyers of gold today are governments, central bank, not Indian women. क्यों भाई तू नहीं पहनता क्या? Central bank, India, Russia, China, some of the smaller countries, African countries are buying. Who else are buying? ETF, paper money. Like if you want to buy gold, you can just go and buy HDFC Gold ETF today. ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund. You know? So ETF is also buying massive amount of gold. Then all the institutional investors. Okay, who are the institutional investors? So traditionally hedge funds, these are big investors. Now, what has also happened is that Chinese insurance companies are allowed to buy gold for the first time in last 70 years. Recently, China passed a regulation. उन्होंने कहा insurance company को कि आप भी खरीदो. So now, apparently, there is some massive buying that's happening. And historically, जब gold का rally हुआ है, gold rally has been a multi-year rally. It's not a 6-month or 1-year rally. 3 साल, 4 साल, maybe 10 साल तक rally चलता है, and then it crashes. So I still feel, and I could be wrong, and if you lose, it's your money, and I don't care. But I still feel gold has a long runway to go. That's my view. So personally, in my portfolio, last week I bought sizable silver, and I've been buying gold for last 1 year. So that's gold and silver for you. Anything else I can help you with? Hanji. Okay. We'll have to digress a little bit, but I'll still give you a little overview. The question that's being asked to me is about sovereign gold bonds in India. ये क्या था? So typically now India doesn't mine as much gold, right? Most of the gold that we get in India is imported. And हमारे पे mining limited है. So when I think from government perspective, Indians, they know that are crazy, they want to buy gold, right? Now, if Indians are continuously buying gold and gold is not mined in India, तो फिर कहाँ से पैसा आ रहा है? I mean, कहाँ से gold आ रहा है? Foreign से? So if you want to buy gold, what do you need to pay? Foreign currency, right? And historically, something that India does not like is making payment in foreign currency. क्यों? क्योंकि 1980-90 में हम लोगों के पास कंगाली था. We had absolutely no foreign currency with us. So then government of India thought, right, anyways Indians are buying gold, let me give them a better option so that they don't buy gold. Okay, what is that? You buy this government bond, we will give you a fixed 2 to 3% return, okay, and we will give you return on gold. Now the babus sitting at government, what they thought is कि gold हर साल 5% बढ़ता है. Correct? That was their thought process. So 5% gold appreciation, 2-3% return. Total return I'll give to investor is how much? 8% closer to FD, but I will save my foreign currency. What they did not imagine is what? That gold will go up at this sharp rate. So now those people who bought those sovereign gold bonds, right, and they expired now, but those people who bought, if gold went up by 20%, they earn 20% plus they earn 2-3% from government of India. So government made a lot of losses on that issuance, and those folks who bought ended up making a lot of money on that issuance. Right? So that was the whole idea of sovereign gold bonds. I don't think they'll come back now. आपने लिया है? हाँ, वेरी नाइस. देखो कितना सीना चौड़ा हो गया इसका. हाँ जी, और कुछ? Anything I can answer? Neve will go to real estate. I didn't have gold causing of mining. Indeed, we have because export is an indigenous industry. Is ETF investing good idea? Gold is considered safe haven for countries during a world crisis. That's correct, Ashrit. What will be the safest investment during World War III? I think a bunker. What will be safest, SGD or CHF during a world crisis? And no one knows. Maybe if you put a gun to my head, I'll select CHF, Swiss francs. Do you know why? Yeah, because they don't care about what's happening in the world, right? They're always neutral. It's like that friend who always says कि तुम लड़ लो और बता दो क्या करना है बाद में. So they did not participate in World War I, though they were very close to Germany. Did not participate in World War II. Do not participate in any global conflict. So maybe I'll go with Swiss franc, but again, you don't know. There will be no World War III. Okay. I think I'll tell you one thing I've learned. Very important skill in investing is कि जब कुछ पता नहीं है तब कुछ पता नहीं है. One thing we never do is build wrong conviction. You want to be very agile and nimble. In the class, one day you'll hear me talking great about gold, okay, and tomorrow morning I might learn something new and I'll change my view, and then I'll not like gold anymore. But you have to be very nimble. If you hold on to certain views that this cannot happen, it kind of comes against your investment practice. Someone is asking me a question on the chat box. Since I like the question, I'm going to answer this in depth. The question says, if the interest rates are going up, then why does gold underperform, right? What's the thought process behind it? So just imagine, I was just having discussion with someone here. Someone's family has received 4 gold coins free recently, right? Which is nice in some investment scheme. And we'll talk about that baad mein. But let's say you have 4 gold coins now worth 20 grams. है ना? मतलब 2 तोला. हाँ मतलब total 20 grams. हाँ कितने का gold है आपके पास? So you have, let's say roughly 2 lakh rupee, round figure purposes, 2 lakh rupee gold. Do you plan to keep it on gold? Will you keep it on gold? Yes. Why is that? Because value badega, right? Now, what if I told you that, hey, sell your gold and put this in FD, I'll give you 6% return. Will you do? No. Okay. What if I told you, fine, I'll give you 10% return? No? Okay. What if I told you I'll give you 25% return? Will you? Yes? Now, getting the hang of it, that when the interest rates are high, there is a better opportunity cost of your money to just park that into fixed income products and not keep it in gold. So that's why historically, whenever interest rates were on the rising cycle, gold underperformed. However, this rally in the gold is kind of unique in a way because the interest rates haven't had a very strong direction. In fact, interest rates might have gone up a little bit, but the gold has still performed really, really well. Historically, gold also performed well when inflation was higher. This time inflation is also a mixed signal. Then also gold is performing, because this rally of gold is not about a better avenue of investing. This rally of gold is mostly about trying to protect your wealth from collapse of monetary system, right? I mean, it started with, I was telling someone, right? It started with 2022 when the Ukraine-Russia war broke, and US decided that they're going to freeze the assets of Russia, which were held in US dollar. Now, if you think about it, if you were in government of Russia, how frustrating would that be that it's your money? You bought US government bonds, and now US government is telling you that you cannot take your own money, right? Now, after that, would you like to invest in US bonds again? No, right? So started with Russia, but imagine you heard that this happened to your friend, not you, but this happened to your friend. Would you want to buy US bonds? No again, right? So started with Russia, but then all the countries across the world started feeling that, hey, if it can happen to Russia someday, because they are in conflict with US, it can happen to me also. This is called weaponization of US dollar, right? So what US government did is they weaponized US dollar, and therefore now a lot of countries in the world don't want to have a very high exposure to USD. Therefore, if you just look at statistics across the world, the amount of money that the central government, right, government reserves, they hold in US bonds, in percentage term, that amount of money has been reducing, and that money is going where? To gold. At least a big part of it is going to gold. So the percentage allocation to gold across the central bank has been rising, right? That's one reason. That's where the gold rally started. Now we are seeing the traction, but it's been rallying since 2022 after that event. Okay. I think enough of gold and silver. Let's go to our main flowchart again. Now, since many of you are here for the first time, let me spend quick 5 minutes on how does FinTree system work, a little bit about my session and some housekeeping rules. So here the study method we follow is referred to as LPR. LPR stands for Learn, Practice and Revise. So every week you're expected to do these 3 elements. Okay, one of my colleague at FinTree has built a fantastic study planner for you. I just got a review of it in the break. I'll be showing to you tomorrow. But again, even in that study planner, we'll be asking you to do 3 things: learn, practice, and revise. Now, your primary source of learning will always be videos, right? So it's a video-based learning program. You'd be spending time on FinTree LMS watching pre-recorded videos of every topic. As a supplement to this, you can participate in the live classes. Okay, now in my live sessions, I do not cover 100% of the syllabus. I might cover only those areas that in my experience candidates struggle. So I have 2 options. One option is in my live classes, I can touch everything, but briefly. It's sab thoda dekh liya. Or second, I can just take 1 or 2 topics, but dig really deep. I follow the second approach because that's a good use of your time. That's a good use of my time as well. So we'll be doing few topics in the class, but we'll be doing them really, really well. But then again, this is a question I had a few years ago. If everything that I teach is already recorded, then what's the point of doing live sessions again? So the orientation of live session is completely different from orientation session of videos. Live sessions will be substantially more practical and practice oriented, which means in live classes, we will be discussing on what's happening in the market today. We'll be doing a lot of number crunching, whereas the videos will be more exam focused, right? So it works in combination, the 2 things together. Apart from this, if time allows, then some of you can also consider reading CFA or GAR curriculum. CFA for CFA program, GAR for FRM program. So you read the official textbook. If you're not enrolled with CFA Institute yet and you do not have CFA curriculum, it's okay. Right? You can simply follow the process till the time you don't get curriculum through videos. Then what do we want you to practice? So for every topic, you'll find videos on the LMS which are called EOC videos. EOC video stands for end of the chapter questions. CFA curriculum has 20-30 questions for every topic. I've solved them. There are videos available. There are also videos available for something called as blue boxes, which are examples within the CFA curriculum. Thoda awaaz kam karo idhar. The main focal point of this program is your weekly test. The schedules are published on the site. हर हफ्ते एग्जाम होगा, and we take these exams really seriously, and I want you to do the same. So for you, this weekly test is your tunnel vision. Tunnel vision मतलब सिर्फ एक ही चीज आपको दिख रहा है, which is I have to score good in weekly test. Everything else will take care of you. I have forgotten syllabus that I studied earlier, okay, or पूरा syllabus कैसे खत्म होगा क्या? You don't have to worry about anything. Everything is taken care of. Only thing that our expectation from you is you do well in weekly test. So इस पे efforts लगाओ, and if you do all of these steps and then write, you'd be okay. And for this class, I'm recommending use your Sundays after the class for revision. So build that discipline. Many of you are not doing it. How many of you are revising on Sundays? Is there anyone who revises on Sunday? No, no one, right? और फिर आप एग्जाम के बाद मेरे पास आओ और कहो कि मैं भूल गया हूँ. See, and I don't blame you. That's how our schooling system is. So आपने जो लाइफ के 20 साल 15 साल किया है वही आप करोगे, right? How schooling system was study, 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 then unit test. So पढ़ाई करो, exam दो, right? Then study, 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 then final exams, revise, take the exam. So in our head, we think of revision as a discrete activity, something that we do before the exam. But instead, revision should be a continuous activity, which means you do it along with your studies. So at least 1 week, 1 day a week, right? Typically Sundays you allocate only to revising what you've already studied. And the smartest way to do this is we have a crash course on the LMS. Entire subject you can revise by watching 2 to 3 hour long videos. So use crash course, use juice notes, and then you're good to go. Any questions here? संडेला क्लास नंतर आळस येतो, मग मी तुला काही करू का आळस होण्यासाठी? करायचं? ओके. हा, एनिथिंग एल्स? How much time? Okay, how much time should you study? Which is again a very common question I get. How many of you are doing this full time? Full time as in you're maybe studying for some other course and studying for CFA. Okay, full time means not working. Okay, let me rephrase. That's almost all of you. How many of you are working? Right, that's I think less than 10% of my class here. So now, see, if you have a full-time job, you have a different strategy. Okay, but if you're a student, obviously there should be a different strategy. Now, I'll tell you for full-time, I have a slightly steep ask. I'm expecting you to put in about 25 hours a week. Okay, and I know it's crazy because a typical work week is 40 hours. At least in the West, right? So 40 घंटे काम plus 25 घंटे पढ़ाई. Now, how do you do that 25 hours a week? So I propose 2 options to you. One, on all 7 days a week, you put in about 4 hours a day. If I were writing the exam, that's what I would do. All 7 days, 4 hours a day, fixed time of the day. If your office starts at 10 o'clock in the morning, start your day at 4. 4 से 8 पढ़ाई करो, ऑफिस जाओ 10 बजे, and then do that, for level 1, level 2, level 3 without any break. Sounds crazy, but once you do it for a week, you get used to it. That's one option. Option number 2, 5 days a week, assuming you have extremely hectic schedule, you put in 2 hours a day. Then Saturday and Sunday, you basically do it the whole day, 8 hours each. Right? So you do nothing else but study over the weekends. If you feel you can't do it, my very sincere recommendation is don't take these exams. Okay, and I know I end up offending a lot of people when I say this, but see, you're acquiring a new body of knowledge, right? The objective is not simply to pass the exam. पासिंग द एग्जाम में आपको आखिरी में कुछ ट्रिक्स बताऊंगा, है ना, कि ये करो वो करो. एंड आई प्रॉमिस यू दिस, ऑल ऑफ यू, व्हेन यू राइट योर एग्जाम्स एंड यू कम आउट ऑफ द एग्जाम हॉल, all of you will come and tell me we were over prepared. Okay, and that's always a good thing because we are not preparing for just passing the exam, we're learning the subject. And it's in a way a very important subject because just think about it, very soon you pass level 1, many of you will start working. Many of you will have to interact with clients. Many of you will have conversation with client where client is saying multi-bagger stock bolo, and you will tell them, sir, asset allocation is more important. There is a lot of empirical studies that talks about it, and it has real life implications, right? You can actually make substantial difference in people's life by giving them good advice. Even if you don't practice this business, you would be a natural advisor to all your friends and family for the rest of your life. It is going to happen. The moment they know कि ये CFA किया है, your friends, family, relative, they'll reach out to you. And that time you can give them a better quality advice. So that's one way to do it. If you're a full-time student, and especially Indian university students, you have nothing, you have absolutely nothing going on for you right now, है ना? आप either you're doing that BCom course, है ना, or BBA. Some people come and tell me very proudly, I'm studying investment banking. मैंने कहा अच्छा क्या पढ़ रहे हो? होता है BBA, investment banking. So see, that whole thing is nonsense. Okay, it's a 3-year course that should be officially a 7-day course. It's officially a 7-day course that you spend 3 years. There's a law, all of you should use it and use it for the rest of your life. It's called Parkinson's law. Okay, it's simple. It simply means work expands to the size of time available. आपको बीबीए का सिलेबस दिखाया और आपको बोला इसको 3 साल में पढ़ो, आप बोलोगे हाँ बढ़िया है 3 साल में पढ़ता हूँ, and then you'll figure out a way to study it for 3 years. If I were to come and tell you that, hey, study this book in 7 days, you'll actually figure out a way to study it in 7 days. Work expands to the size of time available. Okay, so you have a lot of time, and therefore use this time. And please don't go clubbing, and I think they're sorted. See, I'll tell you what, think of it this way. Any new body of discipline, knowledge you want to acquire, कुछ भी हो सकता है ना. You want to be a musician, you need to put in good 10,000 hours. You want to be a skilled healthcare professional, you need to put in time. You're going to be a finance professional. The best part of this industry is you can obviously earn salary, but you can make a lot of money for yourself. Right? If you and read some of the Warren Buffett literature, you just need 20 odd good decisions in your life. Decision means all aspects of life included. The number one is, of course, your spouse or partner. Right? If you decide, that's an important decision. But even on investment, you don't need a lot of stocks to be big. Look at Warren Buffett's portfolio, right? I mean, Apple, Coke, Alibaba. I mean, very easy 8 or 9 names that made him the richest man in the world. So, but in order to take those 20, 25 good decisions, you should be mentally prepared. And the only way to do that is to acquire knowledge and then build those strong neural networks, connections in your brain कि इसको कैसे सोचना है. Someone the other day asked me, but ChatGPT can do it now. है ना कि ChatGPT कर सकता है. The thing is कि मैं उसको वही बोला कि ChatGPT करेगा, but तेरे को समझ में तो आना चाहिए कि वो क्या कर रहा है ना. So even if I'm hiring someone for a research process, let's say I gave them some task on real estate valuation. ChatGPT might publish some statistics on NOI or real estate valuation, but जो use कर रहा है, they should be able to understand what's going wrong. Otherwise, it's a dumb input, dumb output. So there is a lot of demand for this profession. It's going to remain there. Learn the subject the way it should be learned. If you're a full-time student, if I were you and if I had all the time, I would look at that as a privilege. Trust me, I really crave if I could take a 2-3 month long vacation just to study. है ना, क्योंकि आज आपके पास टाइम है. So use that time wisely. Put in at least good quality 5 to 6 hours a day, maybe more. and don't make those faces. Do it for yourself. Do it because you love the subject. And not all of you would be good in finance. That also I know. मैं 15 साल से पढ़ा रहा हूँ. Not all of you would be in my level 3 class. That also I know. But there would be some of you in my level 3 class, and those some of you who hang around and stick, you truly be exceptional. That I can definitely promise you. I mean, you look at FinTree alums in the industry, many of them are running large funds. Some of them are running large sovereign funds for governments now. We have FinTree alums working in some of the sovereign funds globally. And exceptional work, high quality work, they're bringing in, making real impact in people's life. I want you to be able to do that. But वो तभी होगा जब हम सब्जेक्ट की तरह पढ़ेंगे, ना कि पास करने के लिए. So, and how would you learn? How would you learn? Right now, I just want you to do this, at least at level 1. You'd notice that in the videos, there is also a lot of peripheral discussion. At times, I might do an intentional digress a little bit and start exploring maybe some asset class or some stock. So you can, now you have chat GPTs and perplexities of the world. So you can also do tangential research yourself. जैसे आप वीडियो देख रहे हो, let's say you came across hedge fund. Now when you'll watch my hedge fund videos, I will talk about a strategy called doom strategy. जो literally doom means end of the world type of strategy, and that strategy made a lot of money between 2003 to 2008, right? So if you come across something like this, if I were you, I would go to Perplexity or GPT and then maybe spend 1 hour on it, right? Explore the whole nooks and corners, and that's how you build body of knowledge over a period of time, just being plain curious. Okay, I've spoken enough. Chalo, shuru. So back to alternatives. We discussed gold. We discussed that allocation could be somewhere between 5 to 10%. Now people are talking about 20-25% allocation. मेरा खुद का कुछ 12-13% के आसपास चला गया है, not intentional. But I never thought I'll buy so much. In fact, for years I used to think 5, but my true allocation was just 2.5, because I was buying stocks and stocks were going up, but I was not buying as much gold, and gold was not going up. Now I've increased the allocation since last 1 year, and I'll tell you why I increased the allocation. It was a very good call because of one of our ex-student. One of our ex-student now, he's a fund manager, and FinTree का senior alums का एक WhatsApp group है where only equity research professionals and fund managers are allowed. In that group, he made a post written by his company, which was a year and a half ago, on what they were thinking of gold. It was a beautiful report. It's available free online. You can read. It's by Equitas. Okay, it's run by a fund manager called Siddharth Bhaiya. So उनके website पे आपको ये report मिलेगा. And that's where I kind of understood what it was a starting point, and then I started buying gold. Again, how much to allocate really depends on what's your view of these asset classes. Then let's talk about real estate. No khushi, no physical gold. Where will you keep the physical gold? I mean, of course, Indians have innovative ways of doing it. और हमने वो मूवी भी है ना, वो जो रेड मूवी, हाँ, तिजोरी, श्योर, of course. So, see, if you guys are keen on knowing ETF and how to invest in gold and all of it, I am currently undergoing some research. We're working on something very interesting. If I'm ready with it, I will do that discussion with you when I resume my session after 3 weeks. अभी बीच में break है ना, 2 weeks का. But yes, just to answer your question, I buy gold ETFs. Okay, no physical gold. So please मेरे घर पे मत आइए. Okay, let's talk real estate. How many of you or your family has holdings in real estate? I mean, either a house or something else, right? That's again, all of us. What do you think about real estate? Is it a good investment? Yes? Okay. Can anyone tell me some crazy story कि अंकल ने कुछ फ्लैट खरीदा था या पापा ने खरीदा था, ऐसे कोई? Does anyone have the story? Okay, yes, sure. What's your name, sir? Huh? Ishan. Okay. Ishan. Sure. Eshan. Okay, Ishan. What was that real estate? Who bought it? Grandfather bought it. Okay. In which year? 1981. That's crazy, huh? For how much? Wow. 1981. Which area? In Pune? ये सरकार नगर क्या कोथरूड है क्या? ठीक है. Some part in Pune. Okay. Sorry, my Pune geography is not so good. And is it sold now or you still sitting on it? Okay. So let's say you sold in about 2020. How much? Wow. Sold it for 1 CR. What does it look like? Great investment? No? भाई 50,000 रुपए का 1 करोड़ हो गया. Right? So let's do the math. I'll show you. And I'll tell you what, you will hear stories like this all the time. Okay? All your uncles, in fact, all of our parents also have story कि अरे वो real estate मिल जाता तो अच्छा होता है क्या story आपके घर पे ऐसा है ना? एक मेरे पास अच्छा ऑप्शन आया था, हाँ वो मिल जाता. Now let's do the math. These are about 39 years in between. Shh, 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 shh. These are year. What kind of real estate was this, by the way? A flat. 2020, it must be like vintage now, huh? Okay, let's do the math. Second clear TVM. Come on, do this with me. It'll be fun. Let's see how much money Ishan's grandfather made. Second clear TVM. Since we want to do maths in crores and we want to keep the decimals easy, 50,000 will insert as 0.05. 50,000 is 0.05 crores, right? So second clear TVM, 0.05 present value. 1 negative as future value. In the TVM row, we have to keep the signs opposite. You haven't done level 0 yet. You have not. No worries. 1 negative future value, 0.05 present value. 39N compute IY. How much is that? 7.99 or 8%. So, are you sure? बहुत ही कम लग रहा है. Is it 8%? So, technically, had Ishan's grandfather done a FD, it would have been probably the same, right? So, and that's the thing with real estate, and I'll tell you, it's a good thing also, because most likely, see, and that's the difference between theory and practice, right? Uh, in theory, we say, okay, 8% return, 10% return, very poor. But there's also something called as behavioral aspect of your clients. If his grandfather had done a FD in a bank, most probably अभी तक वो दादी के लिए कहीं खर्चा हो चुका होता है ना, हो सकता है ना, हाँ. So the thing with real estate is you can't buy in, you can't sell easily. We don't track real estate prices every day, right? So behaviorally, what it does is it forces you to hold that asset for a longer period of time. Therefore, the returns look so good. Therefore the returns are attractive. And he's right. Someone pointed out very nice that not only capital appreciation, but you also on rentals, right? If you were to give rentals, typically rental on residential property in market yard is about 2 to 3%. So 3%. So 8 plus 3, 11. Okay. Not bad. Definitely okay investment. So how do you think of real estate and how to value real estate? Let me show you. And then remind me, I'll show you a crazy stock on real estate. देखना है क्या आपको? If you learn how to value, then I'll show you some a really, really crazy stock, which holds some, I think, 4 lakh square feet area in Bombay. Okay, and then another 50, 60,000 square feet area in Worli. I'll show you that stock. Very interesting, but I want you to learn the basics first. No, it's not DLF, it's not Loda. Very few will be able to pick up. No, it's not Godrej. छोड़ो, नाम मत करो, अभी सीखो पहले. What can we buy in real estate? We can buy shops or we can buy showrooms. Okay, a showroom typically in India is maybe similar to when you walked into this building. You might have seen ICICI Bank And that's also actually a first floor, but showroom means a ground floor property with large frontage and large display. Then obviously we can buy offices, and then we can buy residential units. And then of course there are plenty of other opportunities, right? You can do land, agriculture land, warehousing, so alag alag use cases. I'll give you a ballpark way to think about this. And again, if you focus now, within next 5 minutes, आप खुद ही real estate valuation के champion बन जाओगे. ठीक है? I recently asked a broker to hunt certain deals for me, for one of my clients. तो उसको सिंपल भाषा में समझाने के लिए मैंने कुछ इस तरीके से उसको समझाया था. If it's a residential property, what you do is you calculate annual rent of that property. Okay, let's say annual rent of that property is maybe 3 lakh rupees. And then what you do is you multiply that 3 lakh with some multiplier. So you calculate annual rent and let's say you multiply with 50. That's the upper range of the valuation of the property. Okay, so if I multiply with 50, this is the highest price I will pay. If I'm paying more than that, I'm outlandishly stupid in Indian markets. Okay, so let's think. Let's assume there is a flat जिसका 25,000 रुपया महीना भाड़ा है, 25,000 rupees per month. How much per annum? 300,000 rupees or 3 lakh rupees. So 3 lakh rupees multiplied with 50. कितना होता है? 1.5. That's the highest possible if it's a very desirable property. कि आपको वहाँ पे ही लेना है, you love that location or for whatever reason, that's the highest one should pay. Okay? If you multiply this with a multiplier of 16.67, that's the deal of your lifetime. Deal of your lifetime means, let's assume a property is giving you annual rent of 3 lakh rupees. Multiply that with 16.67. Karo, how much? 50. If you can buy it at 50 lakhs, you're getting a deal of your lifetime, right? It's the craziest deal. You're definitely going to make money on that real estate transaction. The fair value in most of the Indian cities right now is a multiplier of 33. So 3 lakh rupees of rent, if I multiply with 33, how much do I get? About a crore rupee, roughly about 10 million rupees. That is the fair value in most of the Indian cities today. Okay. If you understood this, more or less you've understood how to value houses now, at least flats. How am I coming up with this number? I'm just taking a rental yield of 2%, a rental yield of 3%, and a rental yield of 6% here. What does it mean? Reverse calculate karo. Imagine it's a 10 million property. 10 million means 1 crore rupees. Rental yield means jitna bhi property ka value hai, whatever is the property value, 2% of that I should earn in rent. So multiply that with 2%. How much is that? 2 lakh rupees. So 2 lakh divided by 12. So about 18,000 rupees. Are you getting hang of it? So what I do is, if I have 18,000 rupees per month rent, convert that to per annum. How much? 18,000 per month. So how much per annum? 2 lakh rupees, roughly. है ना, थोड़ा 2 lakh के आसपास. 2 lakh into 50. How much? 1 crore. So which means जो भी property का value है, उसका 2% अगर भाड़ा मिल रहा है, तो आप थोड़ा सा महंगा खरीद रहे हो. जो भी property का value है, whatever is the valuation of your property, if you are able to earn on a house a 6% rent, you are buying at a fantastic valuation. Okay, so let's take some house. Maybe let's go to, which area should we buy house in? Mukund Nagar. ये market yard वाला ना? So Mukund Nagar, let's say rent flat first. Okay. Give me a famous building or a society there. Sujay Garden. Is it like a apartment? Okay. No, I need like some name of apartment, some famous. Hemkunj. Okay, Hemkunj Society. Okay, I found Hemkunj Apartments. I think no data is available. Okay, I have this. Is it a famous one? Okay. So, see, for a 2 BHK, the monthly rental you're getting for this is about 38,000 for DSK Chandradeep. Is that a high rent or low rent? नहीं, नहीं. It's fair, right? So let's say about 40,000 rupees per month. Let's do the math. Write down. DSK Chandradeep 2 BHK flat in Mukund Nagar in Pune gives you 40,000 rupees per month. Okay. Now please convert that to per annum. 4.8. So your per annum rental is about 480,000 rupees, which is 4.8 lakhs. All the online participants who are not from India, I'll suggest you spend maybe a few minutes on understanding lakhs and crores. It's an Indian denomination. A lakh basically means 100,000. So when I say 5 lakh, I mean 500,000. A crore basically means 10 million. So when I say 3 crores, I mean 30 million. Okay, so here my rental is, annual rental kitna nikla? 4.8. Now, let's assume you want to buy real estate now. Okay, 4.8 lakhs, that means 400 and per annum is what you're getting. Now, what would be a great deal? A great deal would have been if I can get it at 6% of rental yield. 6% of rental yield, which means whatever amount I pay, I should be able to earn 6% on that amount. How much I'm earning? 4.8. So what should be the valuation? 4.8 divided by 6%. How much is that? That's about 80 lakhs or 8 million, which is also nothing but 4.8 into 16.66. See, how am I getting 16.66? Just take an inverse of 6%. Karo? 6% inverse. So if you can get this flat for 80 lakh rupees, you're getting a fantastic deal, right? Because you will be able to generate 6% as the rent plus some capital appreciation. What most likely will be a fair deal, okay, at least in Pune market, a fair deal would be about 3%. So 3% means 4.8 divided by 3%, how much is that? 1.6 crore or 160 million. Now, 1.6 crores is nothing but a multiplier of 4.8 into 33.33, which is an inverse of 3%. And finally, when will you be substantially overpaying, which is actually the situation today in South Bombay, especially in Worli and that region. Right now, Worli in Bombay is a hot market because all your industrialists and Bollywood celebrities are shifting to Worli because of that new bridge, Atal Setu bridge, right? So a lot of these folks are shifting in Worli. So Worli is a micro market, is right now crazy premium. A crazy premium would be about 2% rental yield. So do the math. 4.8 divided by 2%. 2.4 crores or 4.8 into 50. 2.4 crores. That's a multiplier of 50. Are you with me on this? Now let's buy an apartment here. Okay, so let's search. If we get lucky, maybe we'll DSK Chandradeep buy 2 BHK. Let's see if there's a resale unit available anywhere. You know, a flat was sold for 1.75. Are you sure about that? Okay, good. Then we have recent comms data or transaction data available. Someone confirmed that 2 BHK was sold. आप यहाँ पे रहते हो क्या? ये दादाजी का ही फ्लैट है क्या? So recently a flat was sold for 1.7 crores. Right? So 1.7 crores means at what rental yield? Roughly at about 3% rental yield, which is the overall pricing in the market. Now, if you had asked me about my view on real estate 5 years ago, I would have told you that real estate se dur bhago, makes no sense whatsoever. Put all your money in stocks. Because I was a stocks guy for good part of a decade. But if you had asked me today, my view has changed, and it has changed drastically in the last 3-4 years. And a lot of that learning actually came when I read some material of Howard Marks. He's a fund manager in the US. And unka thinking बहुत simple hai. The question he simply says is, do you make money by buying great companies or buying great assets? Okay. And the answer is great asset. And the idea is very simple. If the idea is to make money for ourselves and clients, then the logic is you simply want to buy something cheap and sell expensive. So you want to make use of tactical opportunities wherever they're available in the market. Okay, so I have been hunting and investing actively into real estate for last 3-4 years. And the idea is very simple. You have to sit on the fence, not do a deal, but to be ready to be doing a deal if you get a good deal, as in if you get a good price. So we are constantly hunting, and the thing with real estate is it's always a very idiosyncratic market. Idiosyncratic मतलब सब डील अलग, जैसे डीएस के चंद्रदीप में ही 2 फ्लैट बहुत अलग अलग होंगे, है ना. So it's always very real estate specific. You hunt, you find good opportunities, you execute. Now, if you're going to earn 3% rental, how much do you think is the capital appreciation in India? हर साल प्राइस कितना बढ़ना चाहिए? Every year, price should increase at the level of inflation. If the prices increase too fast, which has happened in the US, Canada today, houses are unaffordable, leads to a bubble territory. So a long run increase in real estate prices should be at par with level of wage inflation. मतलब जिस level से लोगों का income बढ़ रहा है, उस level से real estate, which is about 5 to 7%. So you get 5 to 7% as capital appreciation, 3% as rental. What is the total income? 10%. Okay, is that a fair income? Maybe. Now this is residential. Let's go to offices. In fact, let's go to showroom. In showrooms, a fair price, okay, believe it or not, in India as of now, at the time of recording this video, is roughly a rental yield of about 6%. So you actually make a lot more rent on showrooms and shops versus a house. So which means if this house of DSK Chandradeep or whatever it was called, if it was not a house, if it was a shop, then it would have not been worth 1.7 crores. It would have been worth roughly half of that. So if there is a shop that gets you a rent of 4.8 lakhs per annum, okay, then what should be the value of that property? It should be 4.8 divided by 6%. That would be how much? Roughly about 80 lakhs or 8 million. So when you look at this, that same rent but house is worth 1.7 crores or 1.6, office is worth 80 lakhs, which one will you buy? Huh? What? You'll buy showroom or house that's worth 1.5 crores, this is worth just 80 lakhs. Correct. I'm investing less, I'm earning better rentals. You know? So clearly an office investment or a showroom investment is relatively better than a housing investment. Also makes sense because we are such a large country, such a large population, sabko house chahiye. So a lot of demand for housing, therefore rental yields are relatively lower. Offices, what do you think is the rental yield? Higher than showrooms or less than showroom? Less than showroom. Offices rental yield in the market is roughly about 8% today. So if DSK was an office, 4.8 lakhs per annum divided by 8%, how much would it be worth? And of course, I'm talking about grade A fancy type of offices. I'll tell you that also later on. How much? It would be worth about 60 lakhs. So if you're a investor who's looking at rental opportunities, आपको income कमाना है real estate से or from your portfolio, would you recommend a house to your client or would you recommend buying an office property? Clearly office, right? Because the rental yields are much more attractive. However, When I say 8% rental yield, that means you need a slightly larger floor plate. For example, even this size is not good enough, right? You need grade A buildings. Grade A मतलब क्या होता है? ऐसे वो जो glass वाले, glass facade, fancy buildings. Right? There's certain number of lifts and facilities, and you need a minimum floor plate of, let's say, at least in Pune market, about 10,000 square feet. And these will trade at, let's say, 20-30,000 per square feet. So these are larger transaction, मतलब 10 crore, 15 crore, 20 crore के transactions. But you can hunt opportunities even in smaller tickets. Right? If you're a careful, diligent investor, there are opportunities in real estate. So that's roughly a practical guide on valuation of real estate in India. I have about 5-10 minutes left, and then I'll show you that example. Any questions you want to ask? Tomorrow, I'll of course show you what's written in your syllabus, but right now, this is how you do it practically. What's good yield for commercial offices? ये क्या है? Offices का 8% yield है. Oh, you mean what's a attractive yield? Like what would be a good deal? Anything more than 8, if you can crack 10-12%. So say I'll tell you what we do, right? So we did one transaction for a client. It was a 22,000 square feet terrace in a commercial building. Now these days, a lot of these corporate terraces, you have those bars and rooftop restaurants. So we basically structured a deal for this guy. He was able to generate a rental yield of about 13-14%. Was that a good yield? Yes, but there was a higher risk of occupancy. Risk of occupancy means most of the restaurants fail typically in the first 2-3 years, right? So हमने जब नया property खरीदा और वो बनवाया, so we basically put in a lock-in clauses for all the tenants that 3 years you cannot live. But the risk was that once the restaurant starts, right, and let's assume within a year they shut down because the business is not doing well. Legally, they'll have to pay me rent. But for 2 years, my property will not have a footfall. So after 2 years, when a new restaurant comes, there's no ready-made footfall. So my real estate value is depreciating. So you take a little bit extra risk, you can earn slightly higher return, right? You can always structure deals this way. Now, final point before I let you go, and then we'll do that one example also. This leverage or loan that we take on real estate. Okay. What do you think? Do you think it's a good idea to take a loan and buy real estate, or do you think it's a really bad idea to take a loan and buy real estate? It's a good idea. The only reason, globally, not only in India, the only reason why real estate investing works is because you can build a very solid leverage on that real estate. Leverage means taking a loan. Now I'll show you some mathematics. Imagine I have 100 rupees with me, okay? And like his Dadaji, I decided to buy some real estate. Let's say that's going to give me 11% return. So my 100 rupees by the end of the year will become how much? 111, right? That's an 11% return on my investment. It's okay, but it's not great. I'll tell you why it's not great. Because a house is an illiquid investment. ठीक है? So आप जनरली दुनिया में कहीं पे भी ऐसा जगह पे इन्वेस्टमेंट करो जहां पे जल्दी से पैसा नहीं निकलेगा, you should demand 2% more minimum. Any illiquid investment should get you at least 2% more compared to a liquid option. Illiquid मतलब पैसा अटक गया है. This is called illiquidity premium. If I deduct illiquidity premium, how much I'm earning? 9%, which is okay, not great, right? Now, what makes it great? What I'll do is I will not invest 100 rupees from my own pocket. Just for simplicity, I will invest only 20 rupees from my pocket. Remaining 80 rupees I will take as loan. Let's assume I'm able to take loan, okay, at 8%. That's the condition. The condition is your interest rate has to be lower than your total return on the property. Okay. Let's assume after 1 year, I decided कि इसको भी मैं बेच दूंगा. I'll sell the property. Property is worth how much? 111. How much of this will you repay in the loan? You took loan of 80 last year, interest rate was 8%. After 1 year, how much will you repay? You'll roughly repay about 86.4 rupees. How did I get 86.4? 8% interest added. But you sold your property for 111. How much money is left for you? करो ना, 111 minus 86.4. So ये तेरा 24.6. You invested 20 rupees. You earned 24.6 after 1 year. Let's calculate how much is your return. Karo math. Second clear TVM. 20 negative present value because आपने 20 रुपया लगाया. 24.6 future value. One is N, compute I by 23%. So the real estate grew only at 11%, but आपका return बना 23%. Why is that? Because of that leverage or loan that you took. Simple mathematics. On this 80 rupees, I have to pay 8%. But my entire asset is growing at what rate? 11%. So I get that benefit of 3% also on that 80 rupees. Plus my total return. Therefore, return on my money is 24.6. That's what loan does. It makes real estate investment fairly attractive. In real life scenario also, the return could be higher than the loan if it's a commercial property. Right? So think about it. I'm earning 8% in the form of rent in an office. Plus I will earn about 6% to 7% capital appreciation. So my total return on a commercial property will be how much? 14-15%. But my borrowing cost would be 8 or 9%. Abhi to aur bhi kam. है ना? About 8%. How much is the delta? 6-7%. That's what make offices very attractive investment opportunity. Hai samajh mein? Okay. Just one last piece, then I'll take some of your questions. As promised, I'll show you that stock. And I'll give you a little homework as well. Bombay people will know. Bombay people will know about this thing called Nirlon Knowledge Park. You know? What is this company? It used to be a mill in the past. Okay, they were, and you'll find a lot of stories in Mumbai. पहले सब जो mills होते थे ना वहाँ पे, they had huge real estate holdings, which later on got converted into valuable real estate. Now these guys own 2 properties. Okay, and that's your assignment for today as well. Let me show you which properties. Yes, that's correct. First property that they own, which is crazy. Understood, shares. I'll explain you what the stock does. They have 23 acres, okay, in Bombay, which is in Goregaon, which is crazy because you know Mumbai is one of the most expensive real estate market in the world, right? South Bombay is probably as expensive as Tokyo market today. The Worli area I was talking about, Tokyo historically has been craziest. If you just go and watch some of the real estate prices in Tokyo, it's insane. South Bombay is almost to that level. This is not South Bombay, but these guys own 23 acres of land here, plus 0.05 million square feet, which is 50,000 square feet. 50,000 square feet where? In Worli, Mumbai. And I just told you, right, that Worli is crazy. I'm currently researching this stock. I'll tell you why I'm not buying it yet, but why I like the stock. This 23 acres of land that they have, right now they have a corporate offices parked there. Their current FSI usage is 2.5. Do you know what FSI is? है ना कि मतलब कितना, how much land I have, how much I'm allowed to construct. So right now they've used close to 2.5, but the recent zonal laws in Bombay allow them to construct up to 5 FSI. So there is an unused FSI capacity of almost 2.5. That means वो real estate का size अगर demand होगा तो उसको double कर सकता है, right? And in Bombay we know real estate is very valuable. Right now the stock is priced as if it will always have 2.5 FSI. So which means there is some valuation comfort, but it's not very cheap. So I'm still studying it. Now here's what I want you to do. Take a picture of my screen right now. Okay, if you can take a screenshot. And tonight play around with your Perplexity, ChatGPT, and see if you can come to me with a valuation of this office space. Okay, on this 23 acres, they have 3.8 million square feet of office property constructed. So what you simply do is take a screenshot, put that into your whatever model you're using, and ask it to do valuation for you. कि ये कितने रुपए का लैंड है, कितने रुपए का रियल एस्टेट है. Don't do it now. You can do it back at home. And then what you do is compare that with what is the value at which you're buying the company today. This company is available roughly at about 4,500 crore rupees. Then tomorrow when I start the session, I'll start the conversation here. And then we'll discuss a little bit more on real estate. हाँ वो वन टाइम था. 5% dividend yield है, which is fair, right? 5% means whatever is the stock price, you're earning roughly about 5% of that. Okay, now I'm ready for some questions, and then if you're in the mood, a little jamming. हाँ जी sir. Huh? Yes. Good. You, of course, someone had to bring that up. पूछो.
So real estate has cash component. So what's it in it for us? Means promoter तो पैसा cash में भी ले सकता है.
मतलब what's in it for us as in we buying real estate?
No, in the
We buying the stock?
yes.
Yeah, not. Okay. So his question is, company's promoter can fraud by taking rent in cash, but then that way company's promoter can fraud you literally in any business anywhere in the world. आप किसी एशियन पेंट्स का ले लो, वो जाके कैश में पेंट बेच के आएगा.
But sir, generally real estate में cash.
हाँ, so that is true. But I'll tell you, this is actually has a very less probability of fraud. I'll tell you why. Because they have published what's the total size of the land, what is the total square footage of construction. Someone like me who not even an expert in real estate, I can go on some online website, look at what is the rental at that, right? And then I can just simply do a simple math, what is the per square feet rent versus what is the total size versus how much rent these guys are showing. If there's a sizable difference, I will go to the conference call and I'll ask management, what's your occupancy rate? These guys claim कि हमारा occupancy rate फिलहाल 95% है ना? मतलब 95% of the time property is rented, so I can figure out what should be the rent estimate. So chance कम है, but हो सकता है. See, real estate now, and which is a great opportunity by the way for all of you, right? Especially if you worry that AI will eat my career or something will happen. Real estate is a fantastic opportunity in Indian markets. It's I mean, if you just think about it, right? Any market which has a lot of friction, जैसे सोचो कि कोई if there's a retail investor, and I ask that retail investor that, hey, allocate 20 lakh rupees of your money to, let's say, land. Do you think a retail investor can do that? No. How many of you have purchased land? Very few, right? But how many of you purchased houses? Almost all of you. Why is that? Because land buying is difficult. Why difficult? Legal issues, right? Size issues, variety of different issues. That's a problem statement. Now, the thing with real estate is it's a very idiosyncratic, disorganized market. Disorganized means how a property market in Indore will behave. Within Indore also some market will be very different than how property market in Barner will behave. Most of the people, when they buy a house or take some real estate decision, वो सिर्फ उस एरिया में फील कैसे आ रहा है उस पे लेते हैं. ऐसे लेते हैं ना कि बानर गया था, हाई स्ट्रीट देखा, मजा आ गया, तो वहां पे फ्लैट खरीदेंगे. Now, but there is a scientific way of doing it, and which means that's a white space opportunity. Second thing that's happening in India now is corporatization of real estate. If you ever been to that mall in Aunth, क्या बोलते हैं उसको? West End Mall, right? Now that mall in Aunth is actually owned by something called as a REIT, real estate investment trust. I'll show it to you. Okay, you can actually go and buy ownership in that own mall today, as early as Monday morning. If you go and buy this trust, it's an REIT. For 160 rupees, you become a part owner of own mall. Okay, and this is just the beginning in India. In the US, this market is crazy, right? And I'll show you that mall if it's available here. Okay, photo dikh jayega uska. I mean, they have plenty of malls. They recently started this thing also. Has anyone been to this mall? Okay. Uh, there's some women dedicated parking there. And I think I shouldn't speak about it. Let me see if they show all their malls somewhere. Is this? No. Let me just show you here. Nexus Pune Mall. Now, how do you make money on a mall type of property? Very simple. You earn rentals. All the mall transactions in India are percentage lease transaction, which means if you let's say if you went to an Apple store, okay, in a mall, you bought an Apple phone. Some percentage of the money that you paid towards purchase of Apple phone is actually going to the mall owner. If you went to the food court and you ate something, some percentage of that is going to the property owner. Okay, so whatever you buy in malls, the way transactions are structured, कुछ जो sales का percentage होता है वो हमेशा real estate owner लेता है. And then what these guys do is this Nexus one that I was showing you. These guys will purchase properties, collect rental, and then give investors that rental in the form of dividends. So technically, if I'm buying this Nexus Select Trust, I'm basically buying a selection of malls in India which are generating rental income for me. This is just started in India. SEBI, about a year and a half ago, basically allowed even smaller properties to build a REIT structure. So very soon what you would see happening in India is, and I was actually having this conversation with a client a couple of months ago. This gentleman owns a large commercial property in Kothrud area. उनके पास एक छोटा मूवी हॉल है और काफी बड़ा ऑफिस स्पेस है, almost close to 1 lakh square feet. Now, that property itself is sufficient enough to build an REIT. Okay, so now he wants to sell the property. What I can do for him is take that property, put that into a package, create a trust, do an IPO, collect money from the shareholder, money goes to the owner, and whatever rent that the property collects now will be passed to the new owners in the form of dividend. And this structure in India is going to take off in the next 4 or 5 years. So you will see lots of IPOs coming of these REITs, where some office buildings, some showrooms, some malls will, and in the US we have thousands of REITs like this. US में तो city specific है, forget city, region specific, जो आपका Times Square area है, Manhattan, right? Manhattan ही बोलता है ना उसको, उस area के लिए भी एक REIT है. So there is a REIT that only owns property in that particular geography, and the same thing will happen in India in 5-10 years, right? So fantastic opportunity for you to explore. Okay, anything else I can answer you? We'll learn tomorrow. How to value it, we'll have some discussion tomorrow. Okay, I think we're done. We'll wrap it up. Jabbing करना है या नहीं? करना? चलो फिर books बंद करो. Let's spend quick 5 minutes. Quick 5 minutes, easy, nothing tough. First question, coffee question. You get this question right for the rest of the month. Beginning of the month है ना? छुट्टी. But कल और फिर last weekend मिलेगा. October में अजून एक क्लास है ना शेफ्टी. Okay, fine. Forget coffee question. Let's say a book question. You can go and pick up any book from my shelf. Cash भेजने दूँ. Now, how will it work? You raise your hand first. I'll ask you the question. You get the answer right. You go and pick up whatever book you like from my shelf. Fair? Come on, give me hand raise. Think of risk-reward ratio. I told you at the beginning of the class. If you raise your hand, you get it wrong. क्या risk है? थोड़ा बेइज्जती होगा. थोड़ा सा, वो तो सबका भी होता है. But what's the reward? Right? Reward is you win, right? Which is a nice feeling. So come on, give me a hand raise. This is a derivative question. So those of you who feel I can handle derivatives, okay, let's talk to you, ma'am. Sorry, आपका नाम? Rukaya, right? Rukaya, what's happening today in London market is silver has gone into backwardation. Okay. So what I want you to tell me is A, कि backwardation का मतलब क्या है? B, what do you think are the reasons why silver right now has gone into backwardation phase?
So backwardation could be where the price, say for example, if it was say $100, it has reduced, the value has reduced. So
Okay. Anyone else wants to try? My offer is still open. Okay. Can anyone at least tell me what backwardation means? Okay. Here you go. Try.
Like you showed the graph, like maybe it is like coming back to what it originally was.
Does anyone even know what backwardation is? Google कर लिया आपने? चेक किया? नहीं? नहीं उसको पूछ रहा हूँ. ज्ञानेश्वर नहीं. Okay, can you tell me what is backwardation? Very nice, that's impressive. Who's got the mic here? यहाँ पे mic था ना किसी के पास? ये दे दो उसको. हाँ जी, ज्ञानेश्वर, your answer is correct. अब थोड़ा धीरे और सबके लिए सुनाइए. It's very relevant, especially if you are considering silver. There's something happening in London right now that we should talk. In fact, me and some of my colleagues, we are doing research on this as we speak. But I'll set up the premise for you. Bolo.
So the line in the present has more than in future. So if, for example, the silver, the investor are paying more value of a silver in current time rather than in future.
When you say in future, by in future, what is the meaning of in future?
In future, in the sense, future contract.
That's correct. Future means future contract. See, it's like this. Today, if I have to buy shares of Infosys, okay, maybe they are available at 100 rupees. But if I go on NSC and do Infosys future, most probably it will be available at 110 rupees. Future prices generally are higher than spot prices. When future prices, and those of you who don't know, we're talking about future derivatives. So when future are higher than this, those markets are called what? When future price ज़्यादा है ना कि Infosys today is 100, but एक महीने बाद खरीदना है तो 110 रुपये. After 1 month it's 110. What is this market called? It's called contango. CONTAN. Okay. Now all the chat box पे देखो, normal market, bullish market. Let me show it to you quickly. Just 1 minute, I'll let you go. We're done. NSC Infosys future. All right, observe. If I buy Infosys, if I buy Infosys shares today, in fact, this is also in backwardation. That's crazy. It's IT stock. Let's take Reliance future. Okay. Observe. If I have to go and buy a Reliance Industry share today, okay, the share price is available at how much? 1300 rupees, 1363. But if I go to something called as a derivative market, and I somehow enter into a legal agreement that I will buy Reliance shares on 30th December, year end mein, then how much will I get these Reliance shares for? 1387 rupees. Can you see this number? So today price 1360. 3 months down the line, the price at which Reliance is available is 1387. Is the future price higher or lower? Higher. When the future price is higher, these markets are called contango markets. Contango means future contracts are at a higher price than spot markets. What's happening in silver today is, if today silver is 1363, a 1 month future is available actually at 1350. A 1 month future is available at a lower price. If future is available at a lower price, what is it called? It's called backwardation. Okay. So now my main question is, why do you think silver market is in backwardation right now? आपके syllabus में था level 1 derivative, those of you who studied. What is the equation for forward price? Forward price is equal to spot price into 1 plus R raised to N, but this is only considering cost. How about benefits? Plus benefits, minus benefits, right? Minus benefits. In case of stock, what are the benefits? Dividend. In case of bonds, what are the benefit? Coupon. In case of commodity, what's the benefit? Convenience yield. Convenience yield सुना है? Convenience yield is what? Benefit of holding physical asset. So right now in the silver market, what's happening is the convenience yields have spiked up quite significantly, and there is one conspiracy theory around it. Correct, the milk example. मेरा वो दूध वाला चाय वाला example है वीडियो में. याद आ रहा है कुछ? एकदम से कस्टमर आ गए, आपको चाय पिलाना है. So one theory is, and it's kind of borderline conspiracy theory, there is something called as London Vault. Okay, now what London Vault basically does, I'll tell you how silver buying works today across the world. Imagine if I want to buy 100 kg of silver. Now I can go to the jeweler shop, pay let's say ₹1 crore, bring a big truck of that silver inside my house and maybe dedicate one room for it. But imagine I have to buy 1000 kg. I can't keep it anywhere. I can't keep it in bank locker because silver, too much of volume. So I keep it in vaults. The most famous vault in the world to store your silver is London Vault. So all these guys across the world, when they're buying silver online, they're actually buying it and then they're storing it where? London Vault. And London Vault basically gives them a certificate saying, hey, aapke 50 kilo aa gaye. I've received your 50 kgs, right? Now silver is fungible, which means my 50 kg and your 50 kg are same. These are silver bars, right? There is one theory, and which is actually, we'll see how the develop. Most probably it's nothing, but I'm observing it carefully. One theory is that London Vault actually does not have the level of physical stock that they claim to have. So it's like London Vault giving me a certificate saying आपके 50 किलो आ गए, मतलब मैंने रखे हैं, but actually London Vault has issued the same certificate to 3 people for the 50 kg silver stock that they have. Now it's a conspiracy theory, but it has happened once before in 2010 with a different precious metal called palladium. And therefore, there is a little bit of panic in certain circles in the market that maybe this whole system of issuing certificates saying we hold inventory for you is broken. And if that's broken, there's a possibility that there will be a drastic difference between physical asset versus paper asset. As in India, we buy silver, we can buy silver ETF. है ना? So silver खरीदने के 2 तरीके हैं. एक go to jeweler shop और वो सब silver के बार खरीद के घर पे लेके छुपा के रखो. और second, you go online and you buy silver ETF. If this thing turns out to be true, and very low probability event, most probably won't happen, but if it turns out to be true, then same 1 kg silver in physical will be worth a lot more money than the same 1 kg silver in a ETF, because people will not trust paper silver, right? That's what's happening. If you want, feel free to research more on this, but I'm done. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8.